And if somebody will remind me to record once we get started. My heart is racing 90 to nothing. I just want everything to go smooth.
We have a new guest coming. I think she's going to be here. Sandra Weinstein, I invited her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very active in the Flower Mound Area Democrats and the Toastmasters and the Denton County Democrats too.
Okay.
Is that where you met her, Drew, in the Toastmasters?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Drew.
How are you doing?
Good. And you?
Yeah, fine. My
It's
work,
kind of-
Okay.
my work slowed down a little bit, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's kind of slow down here in South Padre Island.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
that's nice.
Lori, see what you and Doug started? We're trying to be just like y'all when we grow up. Oh, gosh. Okay.
I'm not sure I know how to get, I'm on gallery view, but I'm not sure how well get everybody on one page.
Okay, you can do two if you need to.
Yeah, usually I've had to scroll down and get a couple of screenshots.
Okay, no worries.
We'll try that.
Looks like you're getting a great turnout here for, close to Christmas.
Well, praise God for that. I'm trying to share this everywhere. Okay. Post on Facebook. Meeting. Mr. Kennedy Dean, are you on yet? Okay.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, great. Also, if anybody is on Facebook, can you check and make sure that you see us live streaming from the DFW Metro page, please? Thank you. Okay, I think we're good. We can get started. Yeah, okay. All right. There we go. Gallery view. All right. Now, okay, there's Judge Landers. Okay, I do see Judge Landers. I see Councilwoman Kristen Washington. Kristen, that sounds good, girl, doesn't it? Councilwoman Kristen Washington. She is newly elected in Greenville. So if anybody sees any, you all, again, I'm gonna need everybody's help. I'm human. So if I'm trying to do this meeting, if you all see any other elected officials that joined the meeting tonight, please put it in the chat. And after Attorney Bledsoe has spoken with us, feel free to interrupt me because I want to make sure to acknowledge all of our elected officials, any leaders, not just elected officials, but any elected officials, leaders, pastors that have joined tonight. Thank you all for joining. And if anybody sees when Attorney Bledsoe chimes in, please let me know. Okay. 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 So I'm waiting for our speaker to tune in. Okay, great. Let's get started. And Kennedy Dean, you ready? And let me record.
Ready.
Okay, thank you. And if you're not talking, if you'll mute for me, that'll help me out as well. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining our meeting tonight. This is our DFW Metro meeting. We have been meeting since July. I am so super excited, and you all know I am a crybaby at heart, and I'm already overwhelmed because so many of you answered the call just to join tonight. You didn't know what we were going to be talking about. I could have been asking y'all for some money, and y'all just showed up. So, but I am so grateful for you all to be here. And again, I'm not going to talk long. Normally, we start our meetings out with the Black History moment. But I promised you all, because it was the holidays, we were not going to be very long tonight. So I am going to keep my word with that. But as you all know, when we mobilized DFW Metro, we hit the ground running. And so as a result of that, today, many of us met out at Durham Middle School in Louisville, Texas. We teamed up with Westside Baptist Church and CAP, and we delivered essential baskets to the middle school there. And we have been doing that every week. And again, just in response to what was going on with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, just so many different things. So many of us wanted to do something. Everybody wanted to do something. And many of you all know I've did protests. I've ran from rubber bullets. I've ran from tear gas. And you all, when this stuff started back in July, I took my butt out there and they had me running from tear gas. I said, oh no, I'm not suited for this no more. So I knew then that God was saying to me, okay, Crystal Bates, it's time to do something different. And so this is the task and mission that he led me on. And I am grateful for everybody who followed in behind a stranger that you didn't even know anything about. You didn't know who I was, again, where we were going, what we were doing, but you trusted my leadership and the rest of us, and you followed and you supported, and I appreciate that. And just to give you all just a really quick, I tried to do a slideshow in place of the Black History moment that didn't work. So I had to do something different. So just real quick, if you'll give me like 60 seconds. We did start out in August. Dan and Stacia Englehart, they helped spearhead. We did a back to school drive where we gave out almost 200 backpacks and filled them with school supplies, and we delivered them to local schools in the community. Also, our voting team, we put out 15,000 voter registration cards in the community. We did that in 3 or 4 days. Also, again, we did our voter education series. We had Senator West to share with us on voter suppression and intimidation. We even had a piece where a counselor came in and shared with us about mental health in the midst of a pandemic. And also we had attorney Delia Parker that talked about the student to prison pipeline. So again, I just wanted to share some of the things that we have been doing. And again, we hit the ground running on the first day. So I just wanted to give you all a taste of what we've already started doing. And that's just to show you that we're not going to stop now. It's just beginning. And we are super excited about the work that's ahead of us and everything that we're going to be doing in the future. And again, I pray that you all will tune in. And again, we won't be very long, but we're going to give the floor to, first of all, before I do that, so that was my welcome. And see, I'm getting off a pace. So Kennedy Dean, if you would open us up with prayer. Thank you.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that you've been given unto us, dear God, to be able to come before you. Dear God, let us have open minds, open hearts, dear God, to be able to reflect on everything that you have done for us, dear God. And we ask thee, dear God, to give us speaker, dear God, the great wisdom, knowledge, and the understanding to give unto us, dear God, to be able to continue to move forward doing your work. We ask these things in Jesus' almighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And okay. I'm trying to do too much. Okay, can you all see my screen? There we go. Stop video. Okay. Uh-oh. Kennedy, I didn't mean to do that. Kennedy, you can please show your video. I meant to take the spotlight off and I did something totally different. Okay, y'all, it's technology. We're gonna survive it. So Kennedy Dean, if you, okay, there you go, there you go. I apologize. I did something there. That was me. Okay. So tonight I want to introduce our speaker for the evening, Mr. Gary Bledsoe. Attorney Gary Bledsoe is the president of the Texas NAACP and has held that position since being elected in 1991. The Austin lawyer who specializes in public interest law, employment, and civil rights law has a long-standing relationship with the NAACP as a member of its national board since 2003. And is currently the chair of the National Criminal Justice Committee of the NAACP. Attorney Bledsoe's ties with the NAACP enabled him to make substantial civil rights changes, which include his handling of racial discrimination, complaints against the Austin Department of Public Safety that dismantled racial barriers that prevented minorities and women from becoming Texas Rangers. His involvement in the Cedar Avenue case resulted in heightened public awareness of the Austin Police Department's mishandling of minority youth and led to widespread changes in how police abuse cases are handled. The landmark settlement resulted in the creation of a scholarship program for college-bound minority youth. Attorney Bledsoe also negotiated an African-American student scholarship program with HEB, which provides $25,000 in scholarships for students attending Texas Southern University, Prairie View A&M University, and Houston Towson University. Attorney Bledsoe's legal acumen has earned him an AV rating according to the prestigious legal publication Martindale Hubble, the second highest rating available for lawyers. Bledsoe has received several Lawyers of the Year awards from the Texas Attorney General and the Travis County Bar Association, the Austin and National NAACP, and the Austin Area Urban League, among others. He also received the Kelly Alexander State President of the Year Award, the Juanita Jackson Mitchell Award for Legal Advocacy, and the Benjamin Hooks Keeper of the Flame Award, and is on the Houston Hall of Fame at Riverside General Hospital. All have recognized him for his legal and civil rights efforts. He earned a doctorate of jurisprudence from the University of Texas School of Law, where he is the permanent class president of the class of 1976. So I present to you all Attorney Gary Bledsoe.
Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Bates. I want to say I am very enthused by your talk this evening. You clearly, let's see, is asking me a question here before I get started. Would you like to unmute yourself? Unmute myself. Okay, good. I want to say I'm really thrilled that you guys are back online. You've hit the ground running. You're doing the kinds of things that we need the NAACP to do. And you know, the way we're moving in this country, we're moving forward, but it's very trepidatious in terms of what we're actually encountering. So we need you more than we maybe needed you 20 years ago, because I think the things that we see that are evolving and coming out of this last election are really troubling to me. And I know that they're probably troubling to you. I think that we see a rise in hate. We see people being attacked in Washington, D.C., in ways that may have been connected to this election. And so we're going to need you to be there, to be those stalwarts, to stand up for people, because my fear is that these kinds of issues will go and they'll reach all the hamlets within our country, and we must have an NAACP or some organization that is set up in order to be able to defend individuals and their rights. Let me say that, first of all, I want to thank everyone on the line for being on the line, because this shows your commitment to the NAACP. You know, the NAACP, we've been around since 1909. We've always been a multi-racial organization that's seeking to make humankind better. And so we've been very active in terms of doing that, and we continue to do that. Now, from the national board perspective, let me say that we have had such great changes recently. We have you know, sometimes our organizations maybe take on different types of demeanors or different kinds of personas based on personalities or what have you. But I can say that right now we're a full-fledged civil rights organization, fighting for civil rights on every front under the leadership of Leon Russell, our new board chair, Karen Borkin Towns, our vice chair, and our tremendous young new CEO and Derek Johnson. We're doing things that people maybe hadn't thought that the NAACP could or would do years ago. We had such an effective program in getting out the vote and fighting against voter suppression this past election. I was really proud of the national office, and the Texas State Conference was one of those that was an active participant, and we did do great work in our state. One thing we can say is the African American vote did turn out well in Texas. So there are other groups that didn't turn out the way that African Americans did, but we turned out very well, even though we were fighting against all kinds of voter suppression that I think all of you know about. And I might say that in Texas, we were involved in a lot of litigation. We filed 3 or 4 lawsuits against the state. We had a very effective participation in an amicus brief. And one of the things that people really don't know about is that we entered a case as an amicus in a case between the Democratic Party and the state of Texas. And we took a middle position that people that had underlying conditions that exposed them to negative outcomes from COVID ought to be able to get an absentee ballot. It seems like it makes sense, but the state didn't agree with that. But the all Republican court agreed with us. And so this past election, people who had pre-existing conditions that made them more exposed to negative outcomes were able to get an absentee ballot. And that's because of the brief done by the NAACP of Texas that was accepted by the Texas Supreme Court. So that was a major victory. We also sued the state, trying to force the state to have safe conditions at the polling places. We won on the second go around in a district court, but we were overturned, sadly, by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. But let me say that we fought many battles, but I'm very concerned now about what's happened within our court system because of the nature of some of the judges that President Trump put on the bench. That there's one thing to have a conservative judge, which a president's entitled to put on, but I think we have so many judges now that are result-oriented judges to where it's not about being conservative. It's more about who's on one side and who's on the other. And so, you know, that makes for a very difficult venue. You know, even the great Thurgood Marshall would have had difficulty winning cases in front of those types of venues. But in addition to that at the national office, in terms of the nationwide get out the vote efforts, you know, we've created a new partnership with CBS News, and we now have our own department over there, and we'll be looking to screen and produce shows and actually put them in that put African Americans in a better focus or picture. I think that's really historical. We developed a partnership with Robert Smith to help African American businesses to try to have them to gain better access to the federal funding that's available, or funding that the Fortune 500 companies are making available for small businesses, to make sure that African American businesses are also included in that. So I think that is really forward thinking that we have that kind of venue. We've created a new office Office of Offensive Litigation. And the new lawyer by the name of Anthony Ashton, who's a tremendous lawyer, had done a lot of volunteer work with us before. He's really a brilliant young man. And he's already doing great work in terms of some of the lawsuits that he's bringing, but he's going to be bringing non-traditional type lawsuits. We know we've got many great organizations bringing voting rights cases and those types of cases. He's going to be bringing a number of different types of cases. Our environmental program is no doubt better than any organization in the country outside of maybe the Sierra Club. We have such a tremendous group, and they're doing such great work around the world, saving lives and doing things that people really and truly just don't know that we do. But we're doing things to try to salvage water supplies, to try to make sure that people have, and I know they're interested in one of the areas up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, one of the areas that doesn't have the water or proper services that we've been able to identify. And so I think they've taken that on and are wanting to work with the individuals in that community. It's a predominantly African-American community in Dallas County, nearby to you guys. So, you know, we've got a very active national office on the state level. You know, we did a number of town halls in reference to COVID-19. We brought on physicians, and our health chair is a nurse who I consider to be like an angel. She's really saved so many lives. You know, our health team actually saved a whole nursing home full of folks in Beaumont where they'd been abandoned and hadn't eaten for days. And somehow our people happened upon them years ago. And we were able to bring a number of Latino families who were hiding and starving and in very bad conditions after Hurricane Harvey because they were afraid of being deported. And so we're able to get them to go to the Catholic Charities there in Houston and help save them. Our Youth and College Division went down and helped rebuild Houston after Hurricane Harvey. So, you know, we have our organization is doing tremendous and great things, making a difference in the community. You know, we've been involved in redistricting battles. The state had two of the most extreme discriminatory plans for the election of state house members and for members of the House of Representatives from Texas that would constitute our Texas delegation. We fought those plans. We were one of the groups that was successful in making sure that the discriminatory House plan, H-283, or the discriminatory congressional plan, C-185, never were implemented. So we were a victorious party in that. We lost our last round. We won in front of a 3-judge panel that included 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. We persuaded 1 Democrat to side, one Republican to side with us, along with the Democratic judge. But sadly, the U.S. Supreme Court disregarded the facts and overturned it and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was still alive. So it makes it really difficult for us looking forward to make sure where we go, because this is going to be a redistricting session upcoming, and we have to be very concerned right now with the makeup of the Texas legislature. But the good thing is we can see what happened up in your area when we see the election of Allred and we see the election of Fletcher in the Houston area, where we can see that it used to be you could go and hide so many black voters over here, or so many brown voters over there, and think, well, we just hide them over here. We'll put 25% over here, 30% over here, and they won't make a difference. But what's happening is that those people are starting to vote and joining with others. And so there are big risks to people that take those. And so I think right now, because of those victories there and some of the close races this last time, hopefully we'll have some good arguments. So we'll have better treatment from the legislature this time and maybe not have to fight. Sadly, since the adoption of the Voting Rights Act in 1965, in every round of redistricting in Texas from 1970 on, Texas had been found guilty of discriminating against African Americans and or Latinos. So it continues that nefarious history of discriminating. It discriminated when the Democrats were in power in 70, 80, and 90. Then 2000, 2010, 2010 that the Republicans took over and they discriminated as well. So we see that there has been a real fight Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson up there had the major fight to get her district created when she was the state senator. And so there was resistance within the Democratic Party, even in getting a district created. So we all need to understand some of those issues there. We're also at the state conference, besides trying to let our community know about the things that they needed to do to avoid COVID and to bring in people that they could see that had COVID and give them good advice on how to handle it. We also tried to engage state authorities to try to make them do the right thing. We were able to get some kind of response from the health authorities, and they did accept some of our ideas. But with the Secretary of State on the elections issues, we received none. We sued the state over preventing individuals incarcerated from actually getting personal bond. We didn't lose the suit, but we ended up dismissing it because it got taken up to the Supreme Court, and we joined some district judges in Harris County in bringing the suit. And the Supreme Court ruled against the Harris County judges and sent our case back down for a trial based on what they'd done with the Harris County judges. We realized that it wasn't really much of a prospect there, so we ended up dismissing our case. But that was disappointing. We were trying to stand up for those individuals who might be incarcerated, who were not able to get personal bond, because the truth be known, many people that are incarcerated are really developing the virus, and they're like, there's nothing they can do about it. So I think it is egregious that we have human beings that are caught in those types of situations, and there's nothing they can do but live in the conditions they're in and be exposed to the virus. So I think that is truly problematic. But we're glad that you guys are on board, because we see issues relating to economic development. We see issues relating to hate that we need to address. We're trying to build and get a better community. And I know Crystal mentioned the George Floyd issue, and that's something we're really big on. And we have developed a George Floyd Save the World criminal justice reform plan that I will say honestly, and looking at all of you with a straight face, and say it is the best plan in the nation, because I think it really addresses issues, and it has such an understanding of issues, and we put them in a way to where it grabs people of goodwill. And so people of goodwill will sign on. The San Angelo branch had a town hall that we participated in, and a white male Republican judge said he'd read the plan and he saw how no person in their right mind could oppose our plan. But it's a real plan. It's not just about some changes around the edges. It's something that's very real and consequential. And one of our branch presidents, Eugene Howard, there in Brazoria County, has gotten 4 separate cities to actually adopt the plan. And we think that's kind of major, especially in terms of the venue where Eugene has been operating. That has been really tremendous. But there are some great features in the plan that will help all of us. And so we're really big on that, and are going to be pushing that. We will have some bills introduced this session of the legislature to address those items. Plus, we're also supporting the George Floyd bill that was introduced by Representative Thompson, that is supported by the Legislative Black Caucus. We think that's a very important piece of legislation, and we're very much in support of that. And speaking of legislation, we're also going to be in support of what the caucus is doing in terms of the Minority Affairs Health Office that was discontinued the last session of the legislature because of funding, and the effort to try and get that restored, because I think that's extremely important to get that done. I think we can see now with the real gulf between minority health and other health that there's a real problem. We're active. We're wanting to do things. We've got some really tremendous people. And the way I look around, I meet the people with our branches around the state, and I'm just so impressed with the incredible intellect that people have, the incredible competence, the incredible passion for doing the right thing. And so I think it's a great group of justice fighters. I think this is the kind of, if one's going to belong to a group, I think this is the kind of group that you want to belong to, because we're a great and diverse group that look at the world in the appropriate way. So we as a state conference want to provide you with whatever guidance we can, and offer you guys whatever the hand that we can to provide you what you need to really get started. We have extremely talented people, a great group of lawyers who work with us that do a lot of work. And I know that you guys have great lawyers there, and you're going to be able to get a good legal redress committee together. But we do statewide legal redress training. The Waco branch hosted one last year, and it was very successful. When we have the upcoming state conference, January 7th, 8th, and 9th, we'll have a legal redress discussion there where we can discuss how you can handle and what you can do in the most effective ways to handle legal matters. We try to get some of the best practices to be brought forth so you can see the best practices. And so we bring some of the individuals, for example, Nelson Linder in Austin has done such a tremendous job on police reform matters, and where you can see some of the things like someone like he that might have done, or bring Eugene forward for the great accomplishments that he's had as a young unit president. So we've got some really good things in store for the convention upcoming. We have a tentative acceptance from there's an individual, an African American who played in the country western band that ended up meeting the Klan, a Klan group, and they invited the band to come play privately for a Klan after the Grand Wizard had seen him play. And he developed rapport with the Grand Wizard, who invited him to his home. They ended up having many conversations. He ended up converting the Grand Wizard to where the Grand Wizard left the Ku Klux Klan. And he has since converted about 8 different Grand Wizards in different units around the country and talked 30 or 40 Klan members into leaving the Klan. I think that's pretty astounding at someone like that, but he's written a book about his exploits, and so he's going to be one of our keynotes. And we're going to have a ministers roundtable where we're giving an award to a minister that does a lot of great work in the area of health, but we're going to focus on how ministers can help with this George Floyd Save the World criminal justice reform plan, because we think now is the moment where we think that people are sensitized towards making a change. Let me say one thing I didn't say about the plan earlier, so I apologize for that. But we designed the plan where we don't have to get legislative bills passed. There's so many things that many don't know that they can get done on the local level. And that's it can make for a huge, incredible change that you don't need the legislature to authorize. And so that's a major part of that. And so we've already gotten those cities already moving forward that have adopted a plan on issues that don't take a legislative sanction for them to do. And so I think that's important for all of us to know. But we're going to be featuring, as we know, this is the 150th anniversary of the 15th Amendment that gave African-American men the right to vote, arguably, and the 19th Amendment that arguably gave African-American women the right to vote. We know that we really didn't get a true opportunity to vote until the Voting Rights Act in 1965, but we should celebrate those constitutional amendments that were brought forth to give us the ostensible opportunity to vote. And so we're going to be celebrating those, and then those will be the focus and feature of our convention. And we're going to be doing debriefing to find out all the things that occurred in terms of the election this past time. And so we'll understand the good and the bad, the problematic, and know the kinds of things we need to change. And so with that, I just wanted to give you guys kind of a brief update on what's going on at national, what's going on at the state, to welcome you guys aboard and say I'm absolutely enthused that you're here. And I know you've got other business to transact, but if you have a couple of questions for me, I'd be more than happy to take those. But I appreciate each one of you for having the courage to step forward and wanted to come and help make the world a better difference, because that's what we're about. We're about business. We're about making a difference. We're not about the fluff stuff or what have you. And we want people to keep their eyes on the prize.
Thank you so much, Attorney Bledsoe. We appreciate you taking your time out to share with us. But I will say this before you all ask any questions with him. Attorney Bledsoe, I have not told them information that you are privy to. They are not aware of the National's response.
We've approved the new unit there, and so you guys will be having a unit and will be on board. So but you don't have the charter in hand as yet. It takes time after the vote for that to get done. So it should be soon that will happen. But we approved it. I want to thank Ora Washington and all of those who worked on it, our revitalization committee. I'm just glad that you guys were there, that you had the infrastructure to get this done. And so we know you guys will be getting that charter sometime soon. And so we look forward to that. I look forward to you guys being a full-fledged unit, doing great work, and even greater work than what you're doing right now. And we want to thank you for doing what you do, because we know it's not easy, and not everyone is cut out to be a freedom fighter.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? So for those of you that are just tuning in, our cities of jurisdiction are Capel, Louisville, Carrollton, Flower Mound, and Grapevine. Those are our 5 cities. I hope I didn't leave any out. Again, that's Capel, Carrollton, Louisville, Flower Mound, and Grapevine. And so, yes, if you all will share any questions before while Attorney Bledsoe is with us. Thank you again so much.
I have a question. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So you said the conference was January 8th. I was kind of interested in what are the
7th,
topics.
7th, 8th, and 9th.
7th, 8th, and 9th. Okay, what city is the conference in?
It's going to be virtual.
Even
It
better.
was supposed to be in Austin this year, but we canceled due to the coronavirus. And we don't expect that we would have enough folks that would have vaccinations and things like that the hotels will be up and operable. So we're going to follow the national policy. National doesn't want us having in-person meetings now. So obviously that's not going to change between now and January. So we're not going to be having in-person meetings. It will be virtual. But we're working with a production company to make it really interesting and effective, where people can have real input and you're not just watching a TV program. We're going to make it where there'll be a lot of potential for interaction, good constructive interaction.
So did we get a link to sign that up to go to that? I'd be particularly interested in all of the redresses that you were talking about that do not have to go through the legislature, the different types of changes that can be propounded locally.
Well, we've got a tremendous state secretary, Erica Kane. She's smart as a whip and hardworking, and she'll be getting all that out to everybody. So Erica will be getting that to you. And so we're going to try to get we're hoping that we're going to have more than normal, right? We usually have 300 to 500 people at a convention, but we're trying to make it to where since it's going to be virtual, where we can have even more. So we even talked with the consultant this week. We're going to try to make it where it's user friendly, where we don't bore you and take too much of your time on one day or what have you, that kind of thing. Some things we can't avoid, but we're trying to make it interesting. Like I'm hoping that that if we do secure everything with Daryl, the man that converted all the Klan members, I think that, we want everybody to be there for him. So I'd like that to be an event. And so I talked to our youth and college president, Siobhan Steuben. I said, Siobhan, we need to do that one together. And she had total agreement from the beginning. She said, you didn't need to even ask me that. So she said, we want to be part of that. So that's a good thing. So, because we have a tremendous youth and college division, the National gives awards out when you apply. We only apply as a state conference once, but we applied for the youth and college division every year, and we won like 9 out of the last 10 years. And one year was a tie, and we were ripped off with the tie. They just thought we were winning it every year, and I shouldn't say that publicly, because I know I'm being recorded here. But we've had the best youth and college division since Erica has been head of the youth and college division, by far.
Anyone else have a question?
I don't have a question, but I just want to make a comment. Hello, Gary Bledsoe, Judge C. Victor Lander here. Brother
Hey,
Bledsoe,
long time no see. How are you? I used to work for
only
his
been
daddy.
35 or 40 years,
And
my
he and I were
brother.
friends in law school together.
Absolutely. I wanted to comment and let you know just how good you've been doing, how well you've been doing, and we've been watching very closely. Thank you for being part of Crystal's opportunity here. Although I'm in Dallas and therefore not eligible to be a member, I am certainly interested in what's going on, and I'm glad to see you out there, and I'm glad to see Crystal doing this as well. I just wanted to make that comment.
And big, it's just great to hear from you. My gosh, a friend from way back. We have so many stories when we were young guys. Yeah, so that's
Were we ever young guys? I wonder about that.
yeah. Well, I can still see the days. So that's been great. But I'm enthused to see that you're here. We got to put Victor to work, guys. Don't let him say he's in Dallas and he won't work. I think I heard him just volunteer to lead legal redress. So I think I heard that.
All right, Gary. Great.
Oh,
to
in
see
the
you,
name
brother.
of Jesus.
They say you have to live or work in a community.
And we'll find somewhere for him to work. Oh, yes, we will.
Great to see you, Gary.
Great to see you, Vic.
Thank you so much for joining us, Judge Lander. I love Judge Lander. He's a faithful member of Friendship West. I've been knowing him probably for the 20 years that I have been at Friendship West. And so thank you so much, Judge Lander. And I want to say while Judge Lander had just spoken, I was asked to give you a personal message, Attorney Bledsoe, from Reverend Peter Johnson. Judge Lander connected me with him today, and Judge Lander, he had such great things. Oh, he was just, I had the key to the candy store as soon as I mentioned Judge Lander had asked me to reach out. And he told me to make sure to let you know, Attorney Bledsoe, that he said hello.
Well, Peter's always been a great friend. And I tell you, whenever there's a big issue or we need to make sure the community is in the right frame of mind and all that, Peter Johnson is kind of there, and that's all around the state. So we've had police shootings in Deep East Texas and places, he's out there with us, and just a great guy. And, he's SCLC is well represented with him in the state. So that's another asset there when you're trying to build your religious base and your religious affairs committee, to have Peter with SCLC, and maybe he can work with you with local area ministers that might be associated in some way with SCLC to help develop out that committee.
Thank you. Do we have any one or two more?
Yes, actually. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corbin Burton. This more so for well, I'm gonna take it back some steps. Dean Bledsoe. This is Corbin Burton from Texas Southern, the past SGA president. I just want to commend you on everything that you've done. I've seen your work before this conversation. I was late on the call, but I just want to actually commend you on everything that you strategized from the day that I've ever met you, and also serving on the board. It's even such a warm feeling to know that such a brother like yourself is amongst those guys. I'm from Dallas, Texas, as you know. So it's even warmer to know that I'm coming from Houston, coming from 6864 down the street in 3rd Ward. And now that we have a community that's even in my home in Dallas to even embark on such a greater journey to keep working, the legwork starts here. So I thank you.
No, I thank you, and I appreciate those comments. We need to get back in contact. I'm still at Texas Southern. I'm working on some really interesting initiatives, creating a relationship with African colleges and trying to develop interest in HBCU colleges from our undergrad students. So I'm still trying to do a lot of things and doing a lot of things with the law students. Right now, we're putting on a conference on 1983 litigation. That's the lawsuit that you normally file against police when they engage in misconduct. So I've tried to keep great relations with them there. We've got a tremendous young SBA president there now, and our SGA has always been ahead of the curve, as when you headed it. Because we get involved in more issues. Like when Biden comes to town or whatever, they respect our student, our SGA, right? It's our SGA,
Yes,
our
sir. Yes, sir.
FGA. That's where they go, and they get a lot of, and I tried to always arrange and make sure that when people came, that's who would actually show them around the campus, right? Because I think that's really
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that's really important, and a lot of them end up supporting a lot of the organizations. Like I know Beto did when Beto came.
Exactly.
He ended up financially supporting a lot of the organizations really well. So you can't
Exactly.
do that. Yeah.
Well, and I thank you. And then we will, I know exactly where to find you. So I will be in contact.
Okay. No, look forward to it. Look forward to it. We got
Yes,
some
sir.
great stuff going right now in Third Ward. So
Cool. And I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you. And y'all, I just want to brag a little bit. That was my nephew. So yes.
your family
Uh,
did right.
thank you. Anybody else?
Counselor, this is Jack Henderson.
Turn your
And-
volume up, Dr. Henderson.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, go over here. Where are you?
And this is Dr. Jack Henderson. He's been faithful with us since the beginning as well.
All right, let me see if I can get this to go louder. Okay, here we go. Okay, is this any better?
It is. Thank you, Dr. Henderson.
All right. Counselor, yeah, this is Jack Henderson, Dr. Jack Henderson. It's a privilege to hear you again. You did some work with us back a few decades ago with down at the McLennan County chapter with Dewey Pigney and Robert Gilbert and Lester Gibson. So it's good to see that you're still out there doing what you do. Now,
Thank
my
you.
question is
Yeah, I
this.
remember you.
My question is this: can you provide us with some guidance as I've been now working with Crystal and the other parties here to get this thing going? I was attempting to do a little research on the chapter before it went inactive, and I'm hitting roadblocks as to where to go from here to do any research as to the standing of the chapter before it went inactive. Can you provide us any guidance or direction as to how to go about that?
Well, first I can say is that, to be honest, that's going to be difficult. But I'll tell you what I know about the topic. I think that I think the branch was real active in the 1980s and maybe went dormant in the 90s. But you might tell me what you have. That's what I best remember is when it stopped being active. Now, when I took over state conference president, I was provided no records. So I don't really know where the records would have been prior to that time. And so I don't have per se records. But now, if you're just doing historical research, let me tell you two things. One of them that's just tremendous that many people don't know. And one is that, our official records with the National NAACP were given over to the Library of Congress. And so they're available if one can gain access, whether you get a member of Congress to try to get the authorization or what have you. But we have had people that have worked with us that have gotten access to go back and look up things about, one unit or another way back years ago, to the extent the national office had that information was provided to the Library of Congress. Now, I don't know what year it stops, but I found out because I wanted to do a book on Thurgood Marshall. And so I went to the library at Texas Southern and found out that we had microfiche from the NAACP meetings, correspondence, conventions, um, board meetings from 1909 to the 1960s or something along those lines. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. They have it all over there on microfiche. which is truly impressive. Now, the Tyler branch was just going through old files that it had, and it found some great historical files from the 1950s. They've now put it on a thumb drive where when the state of Texas tried to shut down the Texas NAACP and they sued the state conference in Tyler, and Thurgood Marshall came down and all that, and they lost the case at the trial court. They took that case and had to get them reversed. But there was really kind of a lot of publicity surrounding that. So, and I know the state archives has some records, but they're not user friendly, but you can go there and do research too. But what I would do is, I don't know, I would first check with Carmen Watkins, our regional director, and check with her and discuss that. Then I would talk to Erica and get the telephone number or the email for Cecilia Venable. Cecilia is our official state historian for the state conference, and she can tell you about access to the documents and things at the Library of Congress that you might be able to get access to. I don't know what year the Louisville unit was created, but I know many of the units were created before the state conference. The state conference was created in 1937, but many of the units were, I think El Paso was 1914 or 15 was the first one, I think. So I don't know what year that one would have been created way back then, but so it may or may not be in those Texas Southern documents. And the Texas Southern documents are those that you probably have to go to the campus and go to the library and use them in the library. Because like even me being an employee at Texas Southern, I couldn't take them. I couldn't take the things out of the library right there in the historical section. Limits on how you can use it. So, but you're a public member, and there are members of the public who come up, like Barbara Jordan's papers are there. People don't know that. So I think I was maybe the first or second person I had to review her papers, and the first person to review the NAACP papers.
Hey, thank you.
Sure.
That's big help.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. We have one or two more. Miss Alicia Cobbs just asked a question. You want to unmute and ask, Alicia?
Thank you for being with us tonight, Attorney Bledsoe. I was asking the question, with the upcoming Texas legislative session to begin in January, what is the state NAACP legislative agenda? What are the priorities for the upcoming session?
Well, a lot of it's going to be to defeat bad legislation, right? So I think that's going to be part of it. But our legislative agenda is going to include the George Floyd plan that was introduced, as I mentioned earlier, by Representative Thompson. We're going to support the Black Caucus efforts to restore the Office of Minority Health. And we're going to support bills that would codify the parts of our plan that are not included in Representative Thompson's bill. And we're going to have some recommended bills for election changes. The lawyers who coordinated our election protection efforts are finalizing our report, so we don't have all the recommendations yet that we will need to finalize the agenda. But we'll have a major agenda. So that would, in terms of addressing the whole absentee balloting issue, I think is extremely important. And we also had a real problem and Dr. Henderson might take note of this because this is Waco, but we had just groups of poll watchers that were just hostile. They were just nasty to Black people and brown people. And the stuff they didn't wear masks. They would invade your personal space because there was no rule that the Secretary of State had issued relating to keeping your space. And so, you're trying to stay safe. And some guy comes up looking over your shoulder, talking when they shouldn't be talking, asking you questions when they're not supposed to ask you questions, and they have on no mask. That's really intimidating and life-threatening. And folks knew that would be very much intimidating, so they utilize that. But we're also we had real problems with DPS and DPS in terms of they are people who registered to vote more than 30 days ahead of time who were given voter registration cards after effective the day after the election, and they went to DPS offices to register. So I don't know exactly what the issue was there, but there's also what's called, from our voter ID lawsuit where we sued the state over that. One thing that came out of that was we called it a poll tax. So the state comes up with what's called the election, the EIC, the election certificate. I forget what the I is. I should remember that right offhand. But with those, you couldn't get those this session because DPS wasn't setting appointments. They were setting so few that maybe only a handful of folks who wanted those free IDs to vote because some people, for whatever reason, can't get the other picture ID. There are folks who might have been born in a small town and not have a birth certificate, especially if you're from another state, and that might be problematic in terms of trying to get a driver's license when they do that. And some people have lived with that for years, but then maybe you go to a nursing home in another county and you can no longer vote with that voter registration, so you have to get a new one. And so they put people in between a rock and a hard place. So there are issues with how they determine the signatures. I have a real problem with that. We sued the state over that. In other words, you have lay people that have no more knowledge than I do about handwriting, and you have lay people making a decision about whether the handwriting is from the same person or not. I think that's outrageous. They don't have the authority. You have people that are trained experts who do that. They can't go and be a trained expert and say what needs to be done in terms of air conditioning repair. The same kind of thing here, but that's what they're doing. They're saying these people who have political motivations can actually do that. And those bodies that make the decisions, those are the early vote balloting boards, need some real reform. And I have seen them take elections away from minority candidates in the past in certain counties, because you can take provisional ballots and absentee ballots that they have the authority to exercise decisions on, and just get rid of ballots. And whether it's because they know a zip code they're coming from or whatever, they kind of know, and they can effectively do it. And really got to get a rein over that, because that's too political. And now redistricting also is going to be a big legislative issue. I forgot to mention that earlier. That's going to be a major part of what we do, because Texas is going to get 2 to 3 new seats, and those should be minority seats because almost all the growth was minority. And so, but we're worried the state's going to try to take all 2 or 3 and draw up white seats that are not responsive to the Black community. We're hoping that they will look at what happened in terms of the session seat and all that, and understand that's probably not a good idea, but that's going to be up to us to persuade them. But redistricting is going to be a huge part of our legislative agenda to make sure we can maintain all the representation that is reflective and responsive to the African American community that exists, and build on that if possible. but based on the dynamics of where we are, just defending what we have is what we're going to be trying to do.
Attorney Bledsoe, during the state convention, will public education, the financing of public schools in Texas, along with higher ed education, because we're hurting. I'm an educator. I'm a policy person when it comes to public education. And so I'm real interested in what the Texas NAACP statement is going to be about funding of schools in light of the pandemic and the public health crisis that we're living in, because our children are the ones who are suffering with the online instruction and not having that face-to-face. So during the state convention, will there be a policy statement on public education or the state of public education in Texas?
There could be, so it depends. And so if you want to start working on a resolution, because we will have a resolutions committee, correct? And so
Yes.
our resolutions committee can deliberate and come up with, and so the resolutions committee normally looks at the issues that are brought to their attention. Sometimes I may ask them to look at 3 or 4, but this is really about the state conference and not about the president of the state conference. So we want other people to give them thoughts and ideas about issues to bring. The only thing we ask is these things should be appropriate for the state conference to take a position on. In other words, like we can't take a position on something that there's a hierarchy, and with the hierarchy, if the national does some things, we can't come and say we're supporting the bill in Congress until the national office does that, right? And so,
Okay.
so we can support concepts and ideas, but we have to kind of embrace the structure. And the state conference makes decisions on the state level. And so we always try to teach units of, we have a couple of units sometimes that get out there on legislation that haven't come through, and you can't really do that. But even if something is not part of a legislative agenda, we can embrace it and authorize a unit to support something. But sometimes you end up having a conflict. I'm gonna give you an example. In North Carolina, a couple of years ago, they disciplined a branch president because the state conference had adopted a map for state house elections. And the Republican members of the House of Representatives went to the branch and got the branch to sign off on different districts for the county that the branch was in that conflicted with the state conference map. And they had no authority to do that because that was at the state conference level. And so that they ended up getting disciplined. But that being said, we need to have experts like you that are out there that see the issues, that can bring the issues to us so we can put together good information. At the last, we're probably not going to have a workshop on that this year because with the COVID, we're going to really limit what we're doing. But the legislative issue is still going to be there. But last time I know that we had members of our State Board of Education that we invited and that were there and that participated. And so I think that's always good. We always worked in the past very effectively with them and continue to work very effectively with the State Board of Education. The new African American curriculum that was just adopted, we worked very closely with several members of the State Board of Education to get that accomplished. And so that was a big thing. And it's really the curriculum is outstanding. I mean, it's not some watered down namby-pamby curriculum. When you look at the curriculum, it's like, wow. And we built it to where a college could take it and make it the basis for a course in college. It's not, it's really that kind of in-depth curriculum for the African-American history. So I think that, that's the kind of thing that we need to continue and do and hear from you guys. So I'd encourage you to start writing on a piece of legislation, or a resolution, get that to us.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Thank you,
Attorney.
sir.
Thank
I
you.
want to say this real quick. Council member Casey Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem of Dallas, is on the call. We're going to let him say hello. And also the Vice President of the Texas NAAC, Miss Alyssa. Miss Alyssa is on the call. Let me make sure she's got Miss Alyssa Simmons. And also she's the president of the Arlington NAACP. But before they speak, I want to just say a huge thank you again, echo Attorney Bledsoe, and just a huge thank you to Miss Ora Washington for all of her work that she did. She was fabulous. And also Lori Klump, who worked with her diligently to get all of this processed. And also tonight on the call, you all saw Judge Victor Landers. Also, we had Councilwoman, also Commissioner Bobby Mitchell out of Denton County. She told me to tell you hello, Attorney Bledsoe, and hello to everyone. She couldn't be here tonight, but Miss Mitchell, she wanted me to let you all know that she said hello and she's looking forward to working with us. Dr. Gwen Morrison, who's on the trustee board at Tarrant County Community College in Fort Worth. Gwen Morrison is on the call. Also, Councilwoman Kristen Washington out of Greenville has been present with us. Also, candidate for school board in Louisville, Miss Paige Dixon. I said Judge Victor Lander, and also Attorney Delia Parker Mims is on the call. Reverend Lynn Harper from Community Missionary Baptist Church out of DeSoto, Texas is on board. And also you heard from Corbin Burden, who was the chairman at the NAACP at TSU. And Dr. Whitney Boyd is on the call, and Dr. Farrah Bostic also. Councilman Thomas, would you like to have a word?
Sure. Just want to say I am so proud of you and your hard work and commitment with people like First Vice President Simmons and President Gary Bledsoe, as trained, as ready and willing to assist and support as possible. You are in good hands, having been a branch president a number of years ago. It was a great experience. I got to know Gary, and I think we've become, trusted brothers. And so I'm glad I was able to hear
true.
the end of his presentation. And so I just want to offer you support, congratulations, and encouragement. And I'm only a text away. And I encourage you and others who are on this journey with you to not just be excited about this part, but this is a time like no other when the NAACP and organizations of its ilk are needed as we transition from the hell we've been going through to the potential opportunity to bring a brighter day. So thank you for allowing me to say a few words, and I'm glad to be a part of this discussion.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Casey Thomas. He entrusted me and invited me to join the nonpartisan coalition, Our Vote, Our Voice. I am the logistics chair for that. So I work with Councilman Thomas and also Mr. Jonathan Morrison out of Tarrant County with the Get Out the Vote team there. So I'm excited to work closely with, and also Mr. Sean Reed, who's on the call, who's our co-leader for Our Vote, Our Voice. So thank you again, Councilman Casey Thomas out of Dallas. And next, I would like to introduce as well, again, I stated that Vice President of the Texas NAACP, Ms. Alyssa Sims, who's also the president of the Arlington branch. I would like to invite her to share as well.
Well, hello there, Crystal. Hello to everybody. So I'm sorry I'm late. I heard just a bit of what President Bledsoe shared, and I heard what Councilman Thomas shared. I want to welcome you all to your own unit and to tell you to get ready for all of the work that must be accomplished in your community as well as the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have, I think, 7 units. I think you guys make 8, I think. And so we all work very closely together. The presidents, we have each other on speed dial. We rely on each other for advice and a shoulder to lean on. And so whoever your president ends up being, I'm guessing it might be you, Crystal, know that you have a cadre of resources here to assist you. And then this is my first term as vice president or second vice president of the state NAACP. So it has been a learning process as well. Lots of work to be done here, and we're ready to help you. And to all of your branch members, she cannot do it alone. It's going to take each and every one of you, or she'll quit. I happen to have an excellent team, thank goodness. And we fight the good fight over here in Arlington. And so I encourage you to be fearless. You don't work for these people. You work for, our people and the community. And so whatever you do, do it fearlessly, do it professionally, and adhere to the mission and the standards and the Constitution and bylaws of the association, and you guys should do well.
Thank you so much, Vice President Simmons. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Also, I'm not sure they are still on the call, but also out of San Angelo, the president of the San Angelo unit, Mrs. Shirley Spears, was also on the call. I'm not sure that she still is at this moment. But if so, if she could unmute and say hello as well. Okay. Okie dokie. Well, thank you all so much. I am going to give some quick announcements, but my son couldn't make it tonight. So before Attorney Bledsoe goes, Chris wants me, let me see if I can get to it. My son made us a quick video. If everybody will unmute their thing there. So Chris made it. He wanted to say congratulations to all of us and our hard work. And so as Miss Alyssa Simmons has stated, we got work to do. So I look forward to us doing that work.
I can see Alyssa already, that mind is working there. I think she's ready to bring him in to create some things that she can take into her business, because I saw her mind on the screen working.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all. And so real quick, I want to share, we did talk about just a couple of announcements. You all can connect with us on all social media platforms. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, if you want to opt into communications, go to DFW, metronAACP.org. The website, just like Ms. Simmons is always looking for somebody that can help us out. We need somebody to help out with the website. So I got enough on there just for you all to fill out information. Also support our Black Business Fridays. We have Tuesday prayer at 7:45. Also, Senator West is having a food and shelter summit on Wednesday. All of this information will be on our Facebook page. And again, mark your calendars for the Texas NAACP State Convention on January the 7th through the 9th. Also get prepared if you're interested in getting involved with the voting, with anything that has to do with voting. The Turning the Tide for a New America campaign will be launched in January. You will hear more about that. Also, Flower Mound MLK Day event is going to be on Monday, January the 18th at 6 p.m. And also Friendship West annual MLK teach-in presented by Friendship West. That will be in January. More information to come. And again, I am looking for, I'll be contacting Ms. Simmons and everybody else to help out and get on board with our efforts for Juneteenth. And so if you are interested in getting connected with anything that we are doing, please let us know. And again, we want to say thank you so much to Attorney Bledsoe. I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. You all, guess what? We did it. It's official. We are DFW. Y'all unmute y'all's line, y'all. We have worked so hard. It's so excited. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, DFW Metro. And again, we could not have did it without each and every one of you. You all have worked so hard. I'm going to say this without crying. I know I am, but I am extremely excited. And again, I echo what President Bledsoe has stated, what Vice President Simmons has stated, Councilman Thomas, everybody. Y'all, this is hard work. And we have to have everybody on board, just like you already have been. And so I am so grateful for you all. I'm looking forward to us all working together. And again, thank you so much to Attorney Bledsoe for joining us. Did anybody have any last words before we wrap up?
I just want to say hi to Attorney Bledsoe. It's been a long time.
It has been. It's great to hear you. I love hearing your voice whenever. And
Thank you, Mr. Dean. He's been very supportive too. So I'm so glad to have his support because he's familiar with the organization. So that's what we need, somebody that's familiar with the organization and passionate about the work. So I am excited to have the support of Pastor Dean as well. Okay. And Dr. Morrison, would you like to have a word, please, before you leave? Dr. Gwen Morrison. Let me see.
With the energy, good evening, everyone. With the energy that you have, Crystal, it is obviously going to be a great organization. So congratulations, and let's get ready to work. I'm available whenever I can help. Thank you very much. You can see we even wear a mask in the house, y'all. So just be safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morrison. Okay, you all, well, thank you so much. Again, please connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And if anybody wants to take on the task to try to get this website together so I won't pull out what little hair I got left, that'll be awesome as well. So thank you very much. So you all, thank you and good meeting. And anybody else has any comments, but our meeting is officially over. But if anybody has comments, absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Sean Reed. He's my co-leader in with the Our Vote, Our Voice campaign out of Dallas under Councilman Thomas. Would you like to have a word, Sean? Okay, he's not going to unmute. Okay, if anyone else has any words, please feel free. And some of my Friendship West family is here. I see Minister Reverend Nutanya Hemphill and also Reverend Chloe. Chloe was on here, I believe. Anybody else?
I'm going to do the candidate thing. So, we always got to speak. But I'm just going to drop my link. My name is Paige Dixon. I'm running for the school board for Louisville, place 1. And I'm going to drop my website in the chat so you guys can go check this out. And maybe another opportunity I'll have to expound on why I'm running, what inspired me, and to let you know about our race.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Okay, thank you. Good meeting, everybody. You all have an amazing day. And I'll post the information on the website when we're going to have our meeting in in January. I'm trying to work with Reverend Johnson. Peter Johnson, I think, will probably be our guest. So thank you very much. You all have an amazing day. Thank you all for joining, and I really appreciate you all individually for taking out the time to come with us, to come join us tonight. Have a blessed day.
Congratulations.
Good night.
Thank you. Okay.